Okay. So as mentioned, my name is David Uballez. I'm the executive director here at Timber Ridge in McKinleyville. Um, I've been with the company for about 12 years, or going on 12 years, and about 4 days, I'd say. um, I actually went to, well, it was Humboldt State at that time when I graduated, but now Cal Poly, Humboldt. I graduated with my BS in kinesiology with emphasis on pre-physical therapy. And ever since I was, going to school, I actually started working here as a caregiver in the memory care unit, also known as the Renaissance unit. And I pretty much, worked my way up from there. I also assisted in opening the newest assisted living for the company. It's known as Vine Ridge, which is located in Cloverdale, California, a little north of Santa Rosa, if you're not too familiar where that is. But yeah, so basically today I'm here to give you kind of a brief overview of what we do, who we are, and kind of a little bit about what assisted living in general kind of offers people. If anybody has questions throughout the presentation, feel free to ask them. Just kind of either raise your hand or just stop me, because I know sometimes it could get confusing, but I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Okay, so we are Timber Ridge. I work in McKinleyville. There is a Eureka facility, and like I mentioned, there's a Vine Ridge facility in Cloverdale, all owned by the same entity. So our agenda today, these are kind of like my block little things that we're going to go through. This is the history of Timber Ridge, the services that we provide, costs, types of care, and then, of course, at the end, if there's any questions, if I haven't answered it through the whole presentation. Okay, so the history. So there are two owners that decided to open up Timber Ridge. The owners are Lorana Farnham and Dan Johnson. And kind of the lore, the history about it is Lorana's husband was a doctor, predominantly doctor in here. He was a surgeon. And he did not, think there was a middle ground between a skilled nursing facility and home, or, there just wasn't a continuity. There was just skilled nursing and then someone's at home. And there was really nothing in Humboldt County big enough for people to go to and just have care 24/7. So they decided to kind of open up a assisted living facility, and Dan Johnson, a partner, was he was familiar with building. That's pretty much what he does in his other company. So they decided to open up the first Timber Ridge in Eureka in 1998. Since then, when they opened a Timber Ridge assisted living facility, as well as a memory care unit, also known as Renaissance Timber Ridge Eureka. They had to actually get two different licenses through the Department of Social Services, just because there's a parking lot that separates both of them. So technically, they're two different licensed buildings. And then further down the line, in 2004, they built Timber Ridge in McKinleyville, and that they kind of learned from that and did all the adjustments that they would, and they built the memory care and the assisted living under one roof. At first, it was just the assisted living part that was built in McKinleyville, and then further down the line, the memory care was added. But yes, all under one roof. And then in 2019, Vine Ridge at Cloverdale was opened pretty much right at the pandemic. It was definitely tough kind of going through pandemic personally, just because I was, there opening it. But it was Definitely a beautiful building, and I definitely have kind of learned from all the, the things that you can change to make assisted living better throughout the three buildings. Okay, so according to California Department of Aging, the term assisted living facility is used to describe a variety of facilities that provide both housing and care. They include what people call board and care homes, so kind of like the small 6-bed facilities, kind of like just like a regular house with 5 or 6 bedrooms. As well as it includes the much larger facilities like ourselves, which is McKinleyville is for 103 beds, and Timber Ridge Eureka, I believe, is 85 beds, if I'm not mistaken. Then the Cloverdale property, Vine Ridge at Cloverdale, is 458. Most of the facilities, well, there's the difference between our facility and then adult residential care is that we have to have individuals that are over 60. That's our stopping point. So basically, people who are over 60, considered in the elderly population, they're specifically known as residential care facilities for the elderly, so RCFE. So that's what we're licensed under, the RCFE, and that's why some people get confused what RCFE is versus an assisted living facility. So RCFE versus a skilled, this is kind of like a common question that people may ask. And I've kind of put it into like three differences between us. So for assisted living facility, we're governed under the Department of Social Services. We have caregivers and medication aides that are all trained in-house, and we are private pay. Different from the skilled nursing, where they're governed in the Department of Health Services. They have nursing care, they have CNAs, certified nursing assistants, and they have therapists like occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and that's mostly paid for by insurance. I put a little asterisk there because you have to qualify for them to pay for it, and there's very specific criteria for that. Mostly when someone's coming from a hospital stay, skilled nursing would be like the next thing that they would do. So our services, we'll talk a little bit about that. So for our services at Timber Ridge, McKinleyville, Eureka, or Vine Ridge, we have 24/7 care staff. We have caregivers that are here around the clock. They're scheduled, they're here, and they can assist with ADLs. I have a little slide a little later that describes what ADLs are, but that's what our care staff is here for, 24/7. So you're not alone. You always can ask for help, even in the middle of the night when you have an emergency happen, as little or as big, we're here for you. We have restaurant-style dining, medication assistance, housekeeping services, activities, medical appointment transportation, and all of our apartments are individual rooms. So we don't have any shared rooms. So outside services. So we allow, or we're able to have outside services such as hospices, Humboldt, or home health. And home health can have occupational therapists, physical therapists, and nurses come in to see our residents so they can continue their care, usually coming from a skilled nursing where it's, a daily therapy with physical therapy and occupational therapy. Going into assisted living, home health would come and kind of continue that just on a less stringent basis, so maybe more like once or twice a week, rather than 3 or 4 times a day like in skilled nursing facilities. But hospice and home health are able to come in to see our residents. Assistance with ADL. So ADLs, what it's called is basically activities of daily living. So anything that you would do for yourself just on a regular basis, like showering, grooming, toileting, dressing, transferring. So transferring can mean anything from from someone to stand up, assisting someone from their wheelchair to their bed, or vice versa, or assistance to stand up or roll over to reposition in bed. Kind of just depends on what they would need. But yes, this is what activities of daily living is, and we're here to help with all of those things. And I always tell our residents and our caregivers, we also assist with kind of those little things that you wouldn't think of, like helping with phone calls, making a phone call on the new iPhones that people don't understand sometimes, or Androids, or changing the channel, teaching someone how to use the remote, because technology is difficult sometimes. So I kind of add that to an activity of daily living, because everybody kind of uses technology in some form or fashion in their life. Restaurant-style dining. So we have 3 meals a day. We have a dedicated wait staff at Timber Ridge. So some facilities will have staff members that are caregivers and also wait staff or cook. In our facility, we have a dedicated wait staff, dedicated kitchen. So basically, it's like going to a restaurant. You'll sit down in the dining room. Someone will come over, take your drink order and your meal order. We have daily specials that we use. Kind of rotates and depends on the season. We also have 2 soups that are made fresh every day. It's done by the kitchen staff. We have a snack fridge that's available 24/7 just in case you get hungry in the middle of the night. We have sandwiches that are left there, yogurts, V8s, Gatorades. We have coffee 24/7 someone likes. And yeah, so this is kind of like a picture of just a general breakfast some days. We kind of spice it up with some strawberries as well. It looks like it's French toast. And yeah, so it's definitely one of the main things I would say is important in assisted living, just because for one thing, I guess you would say, it's social. Residents come down and they socialize with their friends, and sometimes that's kind of the only socialization that they would actually like. But it kind of, puts it there, and they get to have dinner together, kind of more like a family setting. So, medication assistance. So we have medication aides, 24/7. What they do is they'll store the medication. So we basically will take them over, store them in our med room, and then we'll distribute them at the needed time. So if someone has a medication at 8 o'clock, our med aide will get there between 7 and 9 o'clock and make sure they get that medication, and then they'll make sure that they record it on the medication assistant record, also known as a MAR. And they communicate with the primary care. So anything that we are distributing has to go get approved by the primary care. So the resident's primary care would have to send us a medication list, and basically what we're doing is following that exactly. So any changes that may happen at doctor's appointments, we make sure that we get it in writing or prescription. Our medication aides will make sure we get that medication, either if it's from family members or if it's from pharmacies or just the local drugstore. We can order it as need be. Sometimes people have VA medications, so we can call the VA for them and reorder them. I would say the most important part of the medication's job is to reorder those medications, just to make sure we have them right on time and they never run out. They also communicate with the pharmacy. Sometimes there's issues reading some of the orders that were written, so they clarify, and they're kind of like the go-between between the pharmacy and the primary care and also the resident. And they also will explain to the resident new orders just in case they get a little tricky for some of the residents. Housekeeping services. So we also have housekeeping services. We have weekly housekeeping, so housekeeper will come to your room, just do the regular cleaning, dusting, mopping, sweeping, vacuuming. They'll take your sheets, they'll wash them, and they'll put a new set on for you as well, and towels. We do provide a personal laundry service, so we can wash your clothes for you, fold them, hang them up, and put them back into your closet. We do that for an additional fee. Activities, I would say this is one of the most important parts in any assisted living, is the activities for residents to socialize with each other, with the community. We have a dedicated activity staff. We have activities director, and we have activities assistants that are great, definitely energetic, and that's kind of what we hire for. We have morning exercises every morning, such as Tai Chi, seated yoga. They'll do some free weights as well. They also really like what we call balloonatics. It's funner than people imagine. It's basically hitting the balloon around, but getting people to use those muscles that they never did, their feet, their arms, and it definitely is a workout for some of our residents. We have live music at least once a week. We have what they call themselves as the Timber Ridge Boys. They come play for us every other Thursday. We also have accordionaires that come and play for us. We've had a ukulele group come play for us as well. Many different people playing piano. We've had concerts from some of the grade schools come through. So all different kinds of music. We have our annual car show with Old Coots on Scoots. As you can see, one of our residents here is standing in front of one of her favorite cars, the little Mustang, which is great. I mean, it brings the community together, our residents, and it kind of takes some of our residents back to memory lane. We're like, hey, I remember when I bought that car, I had that same car, and then they'll bring out some pictures, with their car. So it's definitely one of the most important things that I say is assisted living. We have the monthly birthday party, so every month we'll have a day that we celebrate everybody's birthday within that month, so everybody can have some kind of birthday party, so no one gets missed. We have outings, so like I talked about, getting to the community. We like to go out in the community. We have lunch bunches. We'll go out to some of their favorite restaurants, Mexican restaurants. They went to Tandoori Bites the other day. They'll go to plays out in the community as well. Some of the residents' favorite recently is the casino, and we'll take them out to the casino for a little lunch and a little gambling if they like. They also just do scenic drives. They'll go out to the beach, just drive out to the beach and kind of take a look, or they'll drive up kind of a little further into like Blue Lake or Ferndale just to kind of see where some of our residents used to live, and they kind of give us, their own tour. Like, I used to live there, and my daughters used to run, right down the street, go see their aunts and uncles, and it's definitely a good time for sure for them. Okay, moving on. Transportation. So we have transportation to medical appointments. We have specific transportation days. For Timber Ridge and McKinleyville, we transport on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then in Timber Ridge, Eureka, we transport on Monday and Wednesdays. We understand when somebody has a doctor's office that's only open, let's just say Fridays, we'll do our best to rearrange things as long as we're notified ahead of time. We can make things happen. Cost. This is usually the biggest question I get. I kind of gave a little breakdown of kind of what a monthly cost would be. So in our assisted living side, we have studios, 1 bedrooms, and we have a 4-bedroom suite that has 4 individual beds, but you you would share 2 bathrooms and a living room. So it's kind of a little bit more communal, but you still have your own room. So we have studio prices that ranges from $6,095 up to $7,095. One bedrooms that goes from $65.86 to $75.86. And then the 4-bedroom that I was talking about, so basically 1 bedroom inside the 4-bedroom would be $4,048, all the way up to $5,048. The reason why there are ranges is because of the level of care. So depending on how much care someone would need would explain what the price would be. We also offer respite stays for some people who are recuperating or family members / caregivers that are going on vacation or going out of town or having a medical procedure. We do respite for a fee, so that we do $300 a day in our assisted living, minimum 2-week stay. Just kind of depends on how long someone would stay. If someone stays long enough for a month, we would just offer the monthly rate. In our Renaissance, also our memory care unit, we only have studios, a studio style room, and those rooms go from $65.81 to $77.81, depending on level of care. And we also do a respite stay at $350 a day. So going into pay, so we are all private pay. There are 2 different ways that people can get assistance with that. One of them is through the VA with aid and attendance benefits. Veteran Service Office is great. They'll help fill out all the paperwork, and they can get a certain amount back. So basically, the VA will help pay for it. They won't cover it entirely, but they will reimburse some of the funds. There also is long-term care insurance. So people who have bought into long-term care insurance can get reimbursed as well. So something like CalPERS or Genworth are usually the 2 common that I've seen. I recently have been told by people who are looking into it that it's harder and harder to come by because people are just living longer. So these insurance companies it's less and less likely that people have them, and they're definitely upping the price recently. So types of care. So we have 5 levels of care. We have A through E in our assisted living side, and then 1 through 5 in our memory care Renaissance unit. Basically, it's a point system. So once you're needing assistance with things, those will start to accumulate. So for example, I'm just going to make some arbitrary numbers real quick just to kind of make it easy. So let's say someone is needing assistance with a shower. Depending on how much assistance, if it's just a standby or if it's a full shower, let's just say a standby is 2 points and then a full shower would be 5 points. Depending on each person, those points can accumulate. So assisting with shower, assisting with transferring, if someone needs reminders, if someone needs assistance dressing, those all are allotted points, and the more that someone would need assistance with, that would add up their points, and that would fit them into one of our levels of care. We use August Health as our way to determine it. It's an all-inclusive suite that we can have care plans made for our residents through everything that we go through and see, and we also require that everybody has a physician's report filled out, so the physician can tell us what's been going on, as well as a pre-appraisal that's done by the family, letting us know what has been happening, or the resident themselves, what they would actually need care for. And then we compile all that to provide a care plan that we would follow. and care plans will change. Some residents, come in here being a level A, and sometimes go up to a level E or D or B. Just kind of depends on their health and what has changed and what they need assistance with. And pretty much that's what we have. I've been assisting a lot of residents since I've been here. It's been definitely great to get to meet all of our residents. They all have different stories and come from different places, and that's definitely my favorite part, to interact with everybody. Here is my contact information, but I'm going to open it up now to any questions that people may have that I didn't answer in the PowerPoint.
Hey David, I saw one question in the chat. It was, how big are the studios in square footage?
In square footage, let me take a look. I have a little map right in my. Okay, so it's about 300 square foot for our studios on our assisted living side.
All right, and then there's another question in the chat from Julie. Um, I'm sure you visit both McKinleyville and Eureka facilities. How would you describe the differences in the facilities, activity involvement, etc.?
Okay, I definitely have been to all three facilities. I would say they're all different because we cater to our residents. I'll give you an example. In Ridge McKinleyville, our residents, they love bingo. And they want to have bingo like 7 days a week, 3 times a day. In Ridge Eureka, it's not the same. They rather do arts and crafts. They rather go out to lunch bunches instead. And speaking for the last one, Vine Ridge, they're all about shopping. So most of their trips are more of going out to go shopping, or going to, because they're in wine country for some, they'll go out to the wineries. So it kind of just really depends. But I think our activities do a great job in finding out what the residents want to do. There definitely has been changes throughout my time here. Before it was not, at least in Ridge McKinleyville, bingo was not that popular. And as it kind of, years change, people change, get different residents, the activities change a little bit. We used to have a poker group that would meet, and that kind of went away. We had a resident that really wanted a pool table. And he got, everybody saying, we really want a pool table. So that year we found a pool table, and we had it for the residents, and they really enjoyed it. We no longer have the pool table because people don't really play it anymore. So I would say we are very versatile. We really change, and it really depends on what our residents want to do. Like I mentioned when I was talking about activities, we've been getting requests to go to the casinos a lot more often. So that might be something that we do more often for sure. So whatever our residents want, we'll go do. We want them to have fun and be social, be a part of the communities, go to the plays. So it really kind of depends on what they want to do, and that's kind of how we focus on what we do and what we plan for.
Another question from Kay. Does the cost change with the points, or is that cost just per the room situation?
So yes, that range that I gave includes a level of care. So the first number I would say in that range would be a level A, and then a level E would be that last number. So you got that full range, and we have 5 levels inside of there. They're all about $250 apart. So each level is about $250 apart. So depending on your level of care and how many points that add up, say your level C, you'd be right in the middle of those numbers. So depending on your level of care would determine the price.
And David, what is your policy about pets?
Perfect. So we do have a pet policy. We do allow pets. We have a few cats and dogs. The first rule is that the resident needs to care for itself. They need to be able to care for the animal or family members. It doesn't really specifically have to be the resident, but just our staff members can't be involved in the cleanup or walking or any of that sort of thing. We do have a fee for an animal, a pet deposit, and then a monthly fee as well. And for animals, they can't be over 25 pounds. And they need to have all of their vaccines and shots, as well as being a good Samaritan in our facility. As long as they're okay with everybody else. We have a lot of residents, a lot of dogs walking in, but yes, so that's usually our policies.
And how long does it typically take? Do you have waiting lists? How long does it typically take to get in to one of the facilities?
So depending on how impacted we are, usually in our assisted living sides, we have more availability than in our memory care units. Our memory care units tend to fill up pretty quickly, and that can be when we start the wait list. And it's definitely hard to kind of say when a spot would open up in our memory care unit. But we have, I would say it really depends on what style of room someone wanted to have in the assisted living side. So sometimes our studios get filled up or 1-bedrooms get filled up. So someone might want to wait for one of those to open up. But for the most part, as long as we have a physician's report, we can move in somebody within a week usually. So.
Do you have visiting nurses or care there?
We do not have nurses on our staff. We have home health nurses that come in, and we have hospice nurses. All that is prescribed or referred to by their primary care.
But they aren't on staff, so it has to be
That's correct.
an outside organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you manage transportation to such care? If somebody needs to go to see their doctor, is that all part of it?
Yes, that's part of it. We have a few different vehicles. We have a lift bus that we can have somebody that is in a wheelchair, and we own the bus, so we have a bus driver that will drive Monday through Friday and drive people to their appointments.
And is that an extra charge?
It is not. No, it's included.
Well, that's great. And in terms of visiting, if your daughter comes to town, can she stay with you, or is there a pull-out sofa or pull-out bed kind of deal?
So family members are allowed to stay in the room. We limit it to about 5 to 7 days. just so people don't just become a permanent resident, basically. But people are more than welcome to have them in their room, and they could stay there. So.
And do you provide the furniture, or do they have to bring their own, or how does that work?
So all of our rooms are vacant. They don't have any furniture, so people would bring their own. For somebody who is going to be a respite stay, or doesn't really have things in particular, something like a hospital bed, we have extra hospital beds that we can provide. And we can provide other things like a dresser that we have as well. So depending on situations, we have people that donated things, furniture, TVs. TVs is probably the biggest commodity that people would like to donate. So we have a lot of TVs that we can just hook up for somebody if they need it. So.
And do you use Optimum, or do you have cable there? How does it work?
We do have Optimum cable. All of the rooms are hot, and it's all included in the base rate. Telephone service to the room is a different fee, but that would be coming from AT&T or Optimum that you would set up on your own.
Yeah. And do you have Wi-Fi?
We do,
So
yes.
people can use their smartphones and things like that?
Yes.
Great. And if you have volunteers or someone like OLLI that wants to give classes there, is that encouraged?
Oh, definitely. Anytime. We love having the outside community use our facilities, just, so everybody could see them, and we want to be a part of the community as well. We have HICAP come here on Tuesdays during their enrollment period as well. And we love the fact that OLLI has been back this last year, and we want to continue that for sure.
That's great. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm going to apologize for not being here earlier. I've been having voice issues, so I'm a little hard to hear, and Dane stepped in for me, which I appreciate. And I had also received a scam email, allegedly getting charged with cryptocurrency Bitcoin on PayPal. And I had to attend to that, and it turns out it's a scam. But I was a little involved with that initially. So just be aware, you can get emails saying somebody has charged a Bitcoin to your PayPal account. If you don't have one, of course, that's a problem. But when you try to follow these things up, be aware that that kind of thing has happened. It's the first time I've had something like that. And I tried to chase it down a bit, called my bank. Anyway, never get out any information that you shouldn't, because there are scams like that going around. And the concern is you don't know what it is, and you try to check it out, and then you go down a rabbit hole. So are there any more questions?
Yeah, I see two hands up.
Amy.
The first hand that went up is Amy, yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure, a lot of the residents are there because they need a little bit of help with ADLs, but folks can come and go on their own as long as you know what time they're leaving and when they're coming back. Would that be correct?
Yes, we ask everybody to sign in and sign out so we're aware. We usually check on everybody throughout those meal periods, so we make sure that everybody gets a meal. That's kind of one of our big, triggers, like, oh, hey, this person's not here. Did they, sign out, and make sure. In our memory care, it's a little different because it is an alarmed unit. So anybody exiting or entering will alarm or need to know the passcode.
Okay.
Hey, do you have a question?
Yeah, I put in the, thank you. I put in the chat, I wondered about the visitors, and that was partially answered, I think, but hours and days, I know you would have to sign in and out. And how about if visitors are upsetting your patients, how do you handle that? Also, do you encourage relatives or friends of your people to come and visit, because some people don't have a social network outside of the residence. So maybe you could address that a little bit for me. Thank you.
Sure, of course. Great question. I mean, we definitely encourage all kinds of visitors as long as our residents would like those visitors. I know you mentioned if someone doesn't want those visitors, we definitely try to support our residents. In fact, if they're ill or they just don't want to be communicating with certain people, we definitely have before asked people to leave if they're upsetting our residents, and we'll just say, now's not the time, and maybe you can come back another time, and maybe our resident will give you a call. We can take down your number so we can give you a call when they are ready, because everybody has a bad day, and sometimes people just show up at the wrong time, and we like to assist our residents so they don't have to deal with something that they don't want to, and be comfortable inside their own home.
Thanks.
Of course.
Jane, do you have any more questions?
I had to get here late because I had a dentist appointment, so I don't really know whether this has been addressed. Oh, hold on, my phone's. Oh. I have my phone and my computer. Hold on.
Technology is wonderful sometimes. Just sometimes you can't turn it off.
Now I couldn't turn it off. So my question is whether there's any interface between memory care and the assisted living, whether any of the memory care people get to come out to any of the activities in the assisted living part or whatever it's called.
Yes, I would say most all of our events that we usually have in our activity room, like music, the birthday parties, we do have memory care residents that do join, as long as they're capable of not leaving the group and wanting to actually be there. We have some residents that just won't sit for a very long time, and they want to leave, and we'll just kind of bring them on back to our memory care unit.
Okay,
But we do have dedicated memory care activities, so they'll do their own activities inside the memory care as well.
right. Okay, thank you.
And Amy, did you have
Of course.
another question?
Yeah, it looks like somebody asked about couples pricing. And I wanted to find out how stable your prices are. How often have you had to raise rates?
Sure. Okay, so we do have double occupancy rates. So for the second person on the double occupancy, they start at $2,460, and that would be for the second person, and we only can have those in the assisted living side.
If you
And
get,
for rates, sorry, go for it.
that's okay, go ahead.
So our rates, we have been increasing recently. They have been around 5%. Usually what we have been doing is keeping up with just wage increases, just at the 5% really. And we have been doing it annually, at least for the last 5 years that I've known of. So.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And if you have a visitor that comes and you want to take them to lunch, can you do that? Is there a fee for that, or how does that work?
Is the question to eat in our dining room, or is it
Yes.
if you want to take them to another? Okay. Yes, we do charge for guests. Residents can pay for it on their bill. The guest can prepay for it. We do $10 a meal. Or there is another way. We do offer points for activities, so people who show up for activities, win games in our activities, can use those points to purchase guest meals. So they can do it that way as well.
Any other questions? All or nothing. Anyway, well, if not, David, thank you ever so much for agreeing to do this presentation. And if anybody has questions, feel free to contact David. He's in the McKinleyville Timber Ridge, and I'm sure he'll be happy to talk with you. And otherwise, I want to let you know that on this coming Saturday, we have our open house, and it is back at Cal Poly. And we'll be hoping to see you there. It's from 11 to 1. And our next brown bag lunch is on February 3rd. It's on living well and long by making a happy plan with Jan Dooley, who's been here for years. She's a retired holistic chiropractor, and she wants you to learn about the most important lifestyle choices you can make to decrease your chances of poor health as you age. And we're all interested in that. So I hope you are well, that you've enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for coming. It's our first one of the season, and we're going to go all the way through the end of April. So we look forward to seeing you again. And where is the grand room? Let's see. It's on the second floor of the building across from the big parking lot. And the student services building. It's the same building where the restaurant, it's not a restaurant.
The marketplace.
Where the marketplace is.
Top floor of the marketplace.
Yeah. So just go in the entry there, but you can park. It's Saturday, free parking, shouldn't be a problem. Students are probably out of there. So you should be able to park without any problem and no cost. Freebie. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the office. It's at 826-5880. And we look forward to seeing you there. We got lots of it. Did everybody get their catalogs? If you haven't gotten a catalog, you'll be able to find one at Wildberries soon. We have to get them over there. So that's the plan. So you can always call and ask them to send you one, I suspect also, or stop at the office in the student services building. It's upstairs on the second floor, and they'll be happy to give you one. So thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll hope to see you this weekend at the open house. Take care, everybody.